Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or depending where you are in the world. Melly and Ryan, you have to leave the backstage and come into the webinar. It should be a button in the bottom of your screen. How are you? Thank you all so much for joining us this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world. If you wouldn't mind dropping into the chat where you are dialing in from today. There you guys are. Hi.
Yeah.
Hey,
We were like, you
welcome
left us
everyone.
backstage. So Ryan had a little backstage moment. Okay.
Awesome. I've got some Florida peeps.
South Africa, Papua New
Oh,
Guinea. Papua New Guinea. Can you see this? Whoa.
Wow, I love how international
awesome.
these
Good
webinars always
midnight
are.
from Papua Guinea, says Nazarene. Wow, okay.
Philippines, Canada,
Yeah.
US. Very cool.
I should have stayed in Nigeria an extra day. Like this, I would have a cooler place to say that I'm dialing in from. Now I just have to say I'm in
I
Switzerland.
know. I know. I get to say Florida. I'm like,
See, I could have said
I want an
Lagos, and
exotic place.
like people, I guess, is it Lagos, Portugal, or Lagos, Nigeria? So. Oh,
True.
hey, Nazreen. So Nazreen is actually one of our bronze silver participants from Malaysia, but he's currently doing work in Papua New Guinea. Wow, interesting, Nazreen. Great having you back.
Very nice.
Cool, very cool. So we've got Europe as
Very
well,
cool.
Paris, Netherlands.
I'd rather be in Paris right now.
I'm going there in December.
So take me with you.
But right now, after all the travels, I'm just happy to be back home. It's home, sweet
That's
home.
fair.
Home cooked food. Though I have to say, I
Mm-hmm.
had some very interesting things for the first time in Nigeria. I had no clue about Nigerian cuisine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good. Okay, well,
love
you
it.
know what, Ryan? I think as the room is filling up, we'll still get started since we only blocked 30 minutes of people's time.
I agree. So let's kick this off. Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining today's session. So maybe to start really quickly, who do you have with you today? So we've got Vanessa representing Kirkpatrick Partners and the famous Kirkpatrick framework. So she's an expert in instructional design and evaluation. And when she's not having fun at a dance party, she's currently putting the finishing touches on a book that she's currently writing on evaluation, which is coming out next year. And I know that I'm excited
Yeah,
to get my hands on that when that's
same.
available.
Yes, yes, I will drop the pre-order link in the chat. It will come out in May through ATD Press. So thank you to ATD for believing in us.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And then with Vanessa, we've also got Melanie representing the Institute for Transfer Effectiveness. And she's also very experienced when it comes to evaluation, and she's spreading the transfer joy all over the globe. And I know that she just got back from a trip to Nigeria. And when she's not traveling or spreading transfer joy, she's sports enthusiast, and I can attest to that, having suffered through some CrossFit workouts with her before. So yeah. And then there's me, Ryan, founder of Trevato. I also have a background in corporate learning and development, where I got to spend some time measuring the impact of training programs that we were running. And then I left 3 years ago to start Trevato because I found the whole process challenging and manual and time consuming. And I wanted there to be a better way. So I've set out on the mission to help other companies and organizations with the challenge of measuring impact. And yes, I do love the odd dashboard. So we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, for today's session, we've got 30 minutes, so short and sweet. Um, I'm excited about the number of signups that we got, considering there was product demo in the title, and we've also called it Measuring Impact Has Never Been This Easy, because that is the mission that we're all on together, is to make it as simple as possible. Hopefully what we'll show you today will make you feel like, hey, this is achievable, but I'll let you be the judge of that when we get to that. So what we're going to do in these 25 minutes that we've got left. So we're going to start just quickly by looking at, okay, what are your biggest evaluation challenges and what are the common challenges that we see? Then we'll go straight into product demo. So this is basically the next version of trevato that we're working on together with Kirkpatrick and with the Institute for Transfer Effectiveness. I'll give you a sneak peek into what we're currently envisioning. This is based on some mockups that I'm going to share with you. And then if you say, hey, this looks really interesting, how can I be a part of this? I'll share with you how you can and what those next steps might be. And of course, after the demo, we'll also have some time for Q&A. So make sure to add any of those questions that you have. There should be a Q&A button at the bottom that you can use to type in your questions, but also to see other people's questions and upvote the ones that you find most helpful. Perfect. So without further ado, Vanessa, can you support and pull up the first poll that we have? So when you think about evaluating impact, what is currently the biggest challenge, or what challenges do you face when doing that? And we'll see what the most frequently mentioned things are. So you should see a poll pop up on your screen. Yeah.
Yep, and it's multi-choice. You can select multiple. And if there's anything else, please feel free to pop that into the chat as well.
Excellent point. Thanks, Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing number one right now is not having a standardized way to evaluate across different programs.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it being too manual.
Okay.
3, not sure how to measure levels 3 and 4. And then 4th right now is not having time or resources to evaluate. And then we've got Chris in the chat sharing client interest and support in evaluation. So
Okay.
quite a spread. Actually pretty even the way it all.
Interesting. Pretty even. Okay. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to everybody for sharing that. More or less in line with what we've seen and heard from others as well. So often very manual and very fragmented. I know from my experience, I used to spend a lot of time in Excel kind of putting together different data sets and trying to create nice looking dashboards out of everything. Yes, no standardized way. All programs measured differently, or different teams or departments in a company all doing it differently. I think levels 3 and 4 is where most L&D teams and organizations struggle. I think they're pretty solid when it comes to levels 1 and 2. And then, yeah, managing, if you use different evaluation points in time, managing those follow-ups, sending those out, getting responses, that type of thing. And then, yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges we hear is we have a small team. We have so many things to do. We don't have the time to do it. We know it's important, but we just don't have the time or the resources to do it in the way that we would want to do it. So, yes, those are all challenges that we've seen and that we want to address with, what we're creating. So last question before we jump straight into the demo is, finish this sentence. Training evaluation would be so much easier if ... And you should see that second poll appear. So just take a couple seconds, think about this. And in a dream world, what would make your training evaluation lives that much easier?
I've never done a long answer poll, so I can't actually see these on the back end. So now the suspense is killing me as I see that people are starting to respond. I can't wait to end and share.
I see.
The responses. We've got Jeff sharing here. Level 3 and 4 evaluations often don't get the response that they would like. Yeah, very fair, very fair. I made some other things come in from the previous question. So
Yeah.
managing change and getting acceptance for new methodology, and then budget from client for cost of evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give like a 10-second warning. And okay, as I say that, there's more that are popping in. Hold on. And I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share out the results. Let's see. Can you see those? So we're getting some responses are everyone agreeing on the metrics, all the details and resources being readily available, if it were automated, evidence that training was effectively applied, another +1 for automation, data all in the same system, respondents being incentivized to respond, stakeholders agreeing on KPIs, again, automation, we had more people and resources and budget, preach on that one, standardized formative and summative about assessments, another +1 for automation.
Okay.
Yes, based on program objectives and results as defined with Kirkpatrick recommendations. That's right. Top leaders who are accountable for training investment, realizing measuring is the key for training ROE and ROI. So a lot of, a lot of the
So I'm hearing a lot of both automation and also kind of alignment with stakeholders on, what are the KPIs and the metrics on what do we actually want to be measuring. So that is great. Thanks a lot for sharing all of your responses. Hopefully we can cover as much of these as possible in the product demo. So I would say then, without further ado, we can jump straight into that. And training evaluation is usually one of the last steps in the process, and often that's something that gets rushed or forgotten. But the organizations, in my experience, that consistently, demonstrate real impact, those are the ones that think about it right from the start. So right when training is already requested. So when we thought about this demo, we thought about, okay, we wanted to avoid this typical like click here, then click here, then click here, like barrage of features that might not be relevant to you. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the whole process of, what actually happens inside of an organization through a short role play. And so I'm happy to have Vanessa and Melanie with me today to kind of act that out. And I'll be the one in the background. So you'll see me basically navigating the tool and building everything live so that you can see how the platform would support all those needs from end to end. So with that, let me switch over to the tool. Here we go.
Wonderful. And maybe as you're logging in, I'm going to get us started on the role play. So I'll be slipping a little bit into the client role for once. So very excited to actually having a meeting now with my training partner or L&D professional, Vanessa. And so Vanessa, as I shared with you already in an email, thank you first of all for meeting me. I'm kind of planning to roll out a pretty big negotiation training for about 60 people in our sales organization. And as you can imagine, especially right now, our budgets are very tight since we're investing a lot of money. And leadership has been very clear that they really want the evidence that what I'm developing is working. And so besides just kind of putting together the training request, I really need to build a full-fledged evaluation plan. Was kind of hoping you might be able to help me with that.
Absolutely. Evaluation from the start is truly the ideal way to design for impact. And honestly, it's the only way that we're going to get leadership buy-in quickly. So let's build out the business case. I'm going to go ahead and open up the business case builder here in trevato, and we will start with the new program evaluation and go through building the case together. So first question, what are the goals of the program and which specific behaviors and KPIs are you hoping to see improve?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I guess I'm probably not the only one here, but I don't fully really know. I mean, it's a sales program. I don't know whether that helps to get us started.
No worries. We can actually use Travato's AI to give us the first draft and then work off of that. So who's going to be participating in the training and why are you doing the training?
Okay, well, I have answers to that. So, as I said, we have about 60 of our salespeople that are going to be attending this, and they are kind of new ones. We have quite a big retirement wave. And so, we have about 60 new salespeople in the team that now need to get trained up. And the main reason is we noticed that these new hires are not yet as skilled as the ones that left,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to closing techniques. They're just not able to close the deal. So we've kind of seen that our closure rate is fairly low, and they're also kind of struggling in just following up on proposals.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put those notes into the AI tool. And then once those are all in, we'll just click generate and it will, perfect. Put together the business case. How does this look? Yeah, it
Okay.
instantly gives us a pretty credible, good, measurable business case, the kind that, maybe our leadership wouldn't necessarily push back on.
Is there something that we could change in the behaviors? Is that possible? I like the thing about active listening during negotiations and the objective handling. Could we also just talk a little bit about that they use these closing techniques because we really notice that that makes a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. Do you have like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's do that. We're going to go ahead and update that. How does that look now?
Okay, increase in deal closure rate, reduction in time to close deals, improving customer satisfaction scores. Yeah, I guess ultimately another metric that probably would like to see is ultimately we hope that the sales go up. So maybe just as an additional KPI, an increase in monthly sales. Yeah, great.
Perfect. Awesome. So now that that's done, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, this is really cool. I like this, how this kind of helps me very quickly build it. But is there also, a chance that I could have a full evaluation plan and maybe even the surveys finished by the end of the next week? Because I really need to update leadership on that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a few more minutes, we can just do that right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we could build it from scratch, but it's going to be much easier if we use the generate with AI functionality, and it's going to build our whole evaluation plan based on what you and I just aligned on.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. And so with that, we've got a first draft. What do you think?
Okay, wow. Okay, that looks pretty nice. I mean, one thing I would like to see included, I'm not sure whether that's possible, but it's something we discussed. I would really like to include the manager's perspective on how the employees are performing. Do you think it would be possible to add some sort of manager survey maybe after 3 months? Because I think that's usually when we kind of start to see real behavioral change.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, we could just grab that from the left-hand side and drag it into the plan and put it right where we want it.
Wow. And I mean, what about the questions in the survey? I mean, don't we need to kind of define all of those? I mean, because that's usually like a very time-consuming part, generating all those surveys.
Yeah, absolutely. It actually used to be, but Trevato is trained on the Kirkpatrick and transfer effectiveness frameworks. So it knows what to ask and how to ask it and when to ask it. So we can still fully customize every question and answer option. But as you can see, there's all different types of question types here. But the AI suggestions are actually pretty on point because of that training.
Wow, okay, cool.
And yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
just like that,
neat.
we just co-designed our evaluation plan in minutes. What do you think?
I know. I mean, it's very neat how quickly we can do that. I do have a couple of other worries. I mean, I don't know how this for you, but I mean, very often my respondents, the respondents rate to the surveys, is not massive, and how can I also remind them that they might need to respond? I hate to have to remember when to send something out, to chase them if they forget it. Is there a way to automate that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like a crock pot here. You can set it and forget it. You don't really have to remember everything. We can automate all of it and share surveys by link, by QR code, email, text message, or even push them through Teams or Slack. So that's how we can set it all up and automate for you.
All right. I mean, that's great. That's going to reduce a lot of time on my side. Now, another worry, though, that remains is, as I said just before, follow-up surveys. I have to be very honest, our response rates are terrible. I mean, people just ignore them.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand. I've seen it. I feel it. It happens to me as well. So that's why we also have the option to use an AI chat interview instead of a survey. So it gives more of that interview sort of style, a little bit different. It feels like a conversation and not just a form they're going to fill out. So let me give you an example of an AI interview that we created for one of our other trainings.
Hi, it's been 30 days since you participated in the training program. How have things been going since the training?
Yeah, really well. I used some of the feedback techniques that we covered in one-on-ones with team members.
That's great to hear. It sounds like you've already put some of the training into practice. Can you tell me a bit more about that? What specifically stood out or stuck with you from the training that you've been able to use?
So I wanted to get better at giving constructive feedback.
That's a great goal. It sounds like the training helped you with that. Can you walk me through one concrete moment where you used something from the training to give constructive feedback in a one-on-one?
Yeah, so I wanted to give feedback on a presentation that one of my team members did. And I used to struggle with that because I didn't want them to feel bad, but structuring it the way that we learned helped me feel better, but it also helped my team member receive it more openly.
That's a fantastic example. It sounds like the structure you learned really made a difference in how you delivered the feedback and how your team member received it. What improved because of applying that learning?
Wow. I like that. I mean, I think
Yeah.
our learners would really, really enjoy this because surveys, I mean, survey fatigue, it's there. It's a real thing. So I think, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what is your experience? Would you also agree that the response rate is much higher?
Yeah, we see some higher rates and better quality of responses because it feels more like a reflection as opposed to just compliance and checking the box. So all they have to do is talk, and the system is going to extract all the insights that we need, and it scales effortlessly, whether you have 20 learners or 600.
Okay, I mean, you just kind of said, it kind of analyzes, because I mean, that's now my next question. I mean, it's great to have these variety of tools I can use to kind of track whether, transfer is actually happening on level 3. But what about the reporting? I mean, once you have the data, is it just going to send me an Excel file? Do I get someone from IT to build visuals? Like, how is that going to work?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, you don't have to wait for any of that. I know that, getting some time with IT to build the dashboards and the BI reports and all those things can take a lot of time. Let me show you a real-time dashboard for one of our leadership programs. Awesome. So we've got this leadership program open. This is like the full overview, if you will. One of the first things that we were able to see was the predicted impact immediately after the program ended. We noticed that our learners weren't supported enough by managers, so we reached out to them, and that really helped to make a difference, right? So we're not waiting for things to happen. We're actually able to be more proactive. We later also saw that the program did lead to behavior change and better employee retention. There were some nice quotes from learners that we were able to use to promote the program. That's part of it, right? We need to really be able to market and share out, how well people are doing to engage them within the program. And we were able to pull that. And for this program, is there anything you might be curious about? We can actually ask the dashboard questions just as if you were talking to a colleague.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I very often get asked is kind of, because I mean, we always try, to kind of do a couple of things, but what actually is the biggest behavior improvement after the training? I think that'd be a question I'd be very curious about. So the biggest behavior improvement.
Awesome. So we're just going to pop that in here and ask Trevato. Perfect. So as you can see, it tells us that confidence to provide constructive feedback and coaching saw the biggest improvement. And it also gives us the baseline score and how much each behavior changes, and even provides recommendations on how to improve the program in the future based on the data is analyzed.
Well, I got to say, I got to be very honest with you, Vanessa, that almost just seems too easy. And I don't know how our audience feels. I'm almost going to slip out of my role play now, but yeah, this was, very helpful. But yeah, it really does almost seem too easy.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole process that used to take weeks of emails, spreadsheets, and manual reporting now really does take about under 15 minutes to go from training request to measurable business case to complete the evaluation design, and then to set up the automated data collection. And then, of course, gather those real-time insights once you start getting that data. It's really been able to elevate learning and development functions that leverage the tool from reactive to strategic. And so the team can now be freed up to focus on work that actually matters.
Wonderful. Yeah. Very excited to try it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I will be expecting my Oscar at the next Kirkpatrick Summit. Thank you.
I'll award the project to you. Yeah.
I was gonna say thanks so much for playing along. Yes, very nice active
Oh yeah,
skills.
so Joy, you actually just speaking my language. That would have been my last question. Yeah, it almost seems too good to be true, and I'd be worried about the cost behind that. And I guess with that, we'll give it back to Ryan, since he has a better idea of that. Not right now. It's not a question we're going to answer today, but feel free to reach out to us. But I can assure you our objective is very much to make this, of course, affordable and scalable. Exactly. But over to you, Ryan, to wrap it up.
So thanks. I'm seeing the acceptance speeches coming in the chat. So maybe this is just a really quick summary. So as you saw, it's heavily built with AI to just make that evaluation setup and automation a lot more smooth, and to automate that data collection process. Obviously, we have the Kirkpatrick model and also the 12 levers of transfer effectiveness in mind with this tool. So any templates that will be included will also, and all the questions that are generated will be based heavily on those methodologies. And yeah, real-time dashboards that ideally you can show to your executives straight away without any manual configuring yourselves. So you asked about pricing. So what I can share in terms of, if you saw something that you like today, if you say, hey, this looks really cool, I want to try this out, I want to use this. We're currently running a program allowing some select basically partners to get first access to this as soon as it's available. So it's currently still in the development stage, but we have limited spots available for this early access innovators program, where you would get your hands on the tool as one of the first people, and we will co-create the tool and shape it based on the feedback that we receive from this group of users, because we don't want to build this in a vacuum and then make it available and then have the features people don't want. So we want to really co-create this. So what that means is in early 2026, if part of this program, you would get 3 months of access to this. There's a small fee involved with this, which you can see here for this early access program. To be fully transparent, this is basically to get those partners in that are really serious about this as well, and charging a little bit also always helps with the usage of the tools, in my experience. What you will also get besides access to the tool is the Kirkpatrick team will actually validate your evaluation approach and how you plan to evaluate your programs. You will be able to influence basically the product with your feedback and ideas, right? So that it better suits kind of what you need. And And also, if you participate in this program, you will receive a 30% discount on your first year. So it'll be, once it becomes publicly available next year, we'll work with annual contracts. There is, in regards to pricing, so that's not set in stone yet. I've added a small disclaimer down here, just to be transparent, so that if you already say like, yeah, this will easily fit in our budget, great, we can proceed. But you don't want to get excited about a product and later find out it's going to cost $1 million and you can't really afford that anyway. So that's in there as well. And how to become part of that. Here is a QR code, and let me also put the link in the chat for this. Give me 1 second. So if you say, hey, this sounds interesting, I want to be part of this, you can schedule a 30-minute call where we can talk about what it is that you're looking for. We can see, is this a good fit also for this early access program, and then take it from there. So that being said, are there any questions that came in through the chat or in the Q&A? Anything that we can already...
Yeah, so we have basically the same question in chat and Q&A. Are the plans one-time or yearly?
So for this early access program, that's basically a one-time fee for this 3-month access, and we're flexible to do the timing based on how your training programs are running. In the future, this will be like an annual subscription model, essentially. So you'll pay yearly licensing fees to have access to the software.
Great, thank you. Is there a deadline for the pilot program?
Yeah. So we're basically collecting participants until December 20th, so just before Christmas, and we really don't want to lock down everybody until then. So the sooner, the better, because spots are limited.
Awesome, thank you. Maxine asks, is there a survey tool built in, or will that be built in? It's actually already built in, Maxine. All of what you saw is already created.
Exactly. So that also all of the data basically sits in one tool. Exactly. So that's built in.
The survey tool is what I'm actually, Maxine, I'm super excited about it because it's such a great little tool to predict the possible implementation barriers. So it's a great tool that survey format the trevato team developed.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, so we have two more questions. One I know we can probably answer pretty quick. Do you have do you plan to have options if I want to resell the tool?
Yes, there will be options down the line, potentially, although we haven't figured out those details directly, because our first focus is on co-creating and finalizing the development, testing it, and once we feel confident enough that it adds enough value and everything works flawlessly and people are satisfied with it, then that's something that we will take a closer look at.
Awesome. What are the usage units, credit-based, number of programs-based, or number of participants?
Yeah, so that's also not 100% defined yet. I guess you're referring to the pricing model. We're gonna take a closer look throughout the early access program and see what makes the most sense, and also what is, I guess, the easiest also for our users and our customers. Yeah.
There's one more question in the chat from Anna about collecting data from other systems, and I know this is something we're working on. So Anna, feel free to also tell us which system, because we are kind of looking at collaborating with different LMS so that it can pull in data. But yeah, Ryan, you might want to tell more.
Yeah, so I think integrations is going to be an instrumental part of this, and that's something that we want to focus on as well. So that covers two things. So one is also playing nice with your LMS, so that as part of the automation, you can basically connect those. And in terms of getting data from different systems, yeah, so I guess that's part of it, so that if you have all your participants and manage everything through your LMS, that it automatically triggers those evaluations. Yeah, for example, Cornerstone's a big one. Yes, we also know that a lot of companies use Power BI. So we'll make sure that all the data is exportable and can be pushed into Power BI. And yeah, also long-term vision is that if you have evaluation data like, I don't know, sales data, for example, sitting in different systems within your company, that can be fed into trevato at some point as well. Although I can already say that that is going to be happening at a later stage. Yeah, so Workday Learning, LinkedIn Learning. Yeah, so I think from an LMS perspective, Workday Learning and SAP SuccessFactors are two of the ones that we've heard a lot. But yeah, we're always interested to hear, what are the LMSs and other tools that you use that you would need to have integrations with, because if you tell us that, then we're better able to prioritize.
And yes, the presentation was recorded, and we will be
Yeah.
sharing it with everyone who registered. If you don't hear from us by the end of the week with the recording, please send one of us an email. Then somehow it got missed out. But typically, if you were on the list that registered through the site, we will be sending you a recording of today's session. And feel free to share it with peers. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Perfect.
Thank you
Well,
all
then,
very much. It was nice to see you.
yeah, thanks for everyone's time. And yeah, otherwise, if you have any feedback or suggestions, let me know. And yeah, if you're interested, schedule a session and we'll talk about it. Here's everybody's email, so feel free to reach out with anything. And yeah,
Absolutely.
looking
And keep your
forward
eyes
to
open
staying
for
in
maybe
touch.
another demo a little bit later. Our idea really is, as we build this tool, to keep all of you updated, to make you part of the journey,
Mm-hmm.
gauge feedback, so that we can really build something that is useful for the end user in that sense.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.